Hey, it's Drybear. Chrono Odyssey, the upcoming MMO built in the Unreal 5 engine, recently got some tech demo demonstrations at GDC. And while there are a ton of upcoming MMOs that constantly put out trailers, I like keeping tabs on them as they get updated so that we can kind of go along with their development as they push towards release. So today we're gonna get caught up on everything that is Chrono Odyssey in case you aren't in the know or aren't aware. Chrono Odyssey was also slated to release this summer but has since been pushed back to the second half of 2024. Along with their tech demo, they released a brand new trailer in Unreal Engine 5, and I think one of the best things going for Chrono Odyssey is the game just looks fantastic. High resolution, very stark imagery. One of my favorite things about the Unreal 5 engine is going to be the lighting systems that exist inside of it. When magic is flying around or explosions or weapons clashing, environments are being destroyed and rocks are being crumbled, I just love the way the lighting looks in UE5, and I think that the Chrono Studio team has been using it to full effect. Chrono Games has marketed this as a open world action MMO, and it is going to be buy to play and currently does not have plans to have a monthly subscription. They want the game to be AAA quality for PC and for both consoles, and feature epic quests, dynamic combat, intricate storytelling, and lots of fun moments. Which honestly sounds like just marketing, and it does feel quite similar to some of the ones we've been investigating recently, like Throne and Liberty. But honestly, if I were to put a bet on which one would do better, I think Chrono Odyssey has me a lot more excited. They do feature large-scale raids, which is something that many MMOs have tried to do in the past. But much like the rest of the game, the quality and visual style of the game lends itself great to these large-scale raids, and it does kind of remind me of Monster Hunter in a way. In their recent tech demo to all of their developers at GDC, they showed off a little bit of their character creator, which again does look really good. They didn't show a lot of the details on what you can change and if they're adding in zones for squash and stretch and affecting the bone structure of the character, but overall it does seem like they have the basics there for tone, definition, presentation, bone structure, presets. They have lots of tattoos and coloration and lighting that allows you to change how your character is presented. And while we don't know yet if it's going to be an insanely good character creator like the likes of Dragon's Dogma 2 that we've seen recently, it definitely looks like it's going to be good enough. They also gave us some more information and showed off some more of the classes in the game, and this is a big topic for many people as they go from MMO to MMO, is what classes can I play and how does my combat come together. For their official release later this year, they will have 6 total classes and presumably supporting up to 18 different weapons, which would suggest that each class can have a total of 3 different weapons. However, as of right now, from the people that have been able to play the super early version of the game, there are only 2 weapons that have been shown for each of these classes, and you'll see that throughout the gameplay footage that I'll be showing you on screen. The swordsman class uses a basic sword and shield and can swap to a great sword. Seems to have a nice mixture of crowd control, damage output, area of effect with the great sword, and then good defensive and supportive options for the sword and shield. The paladin, however, is super exciting, at least to me, and I generally don't like paladin classes. The main set of weapons is a mace and a tower shield to set it aside from the swordsman, make it feel unique, and this spear, which is often shown being bathed in holy light as they go about using their abilities. In some of the footage, we've seen paladins cast holy magic, and it's possible they will be able to fill some kind of support role, but they haven't officially confirmed any of this. The berserker is a big lad that is wielding dual axes and can switch to a great axe, and after doing some digging, it does look like the berserker can play a little bit defensive with the great axe by blocking and using defensive shouts and things like that, but overall is a nice mixture of fast berserker gameplay with the great axe being more disruptive. The assassin class has dual daggers and a rifle, and in the footage they gave us, they had the daggers dealing tons of fast damage, especially with the slowing time effect, and then you can roll backwards, switch to the rifle, and deal damage from range. The sorcerer is a class that takes great advantage of the lighting system in UE5 by switching between the staff and the spell book and using tons of destructive magics together. And lastly, the 6th class is going to be the ranger, that is confirmed to have at least a bow and a rapier, though most of the footage they've given us has been just using the bow. So those are the confirmed weapons that we have been given, and since they mentioned that there's going to be 18 weapons for the 6 classes, not 12, it tells me that there's another weapon option, so you can choose between 3 different weapons, and you can have 2 different weapons equipped. And it does look like they're going with the skill set style gameplay that you'd see with games like New World, or even in Throne and Liberty, where you equip a weapon and then you have certain abilities that can come along with that weapon, and you swap back and forth between the 2. Now, some people have voiced their frustrations over systems like this, especially being extremely common in Korean games as of late in the last few years, stating that they prefer to just have a certain style locked in and then play around that. So if I want to use a greatsword, I want to use it the entire time. If I want to use a rifle, I want to use it the entire time. I don't want to have to constantly stance dance with every single class that I play, which I think is a fair point in style, and it does give you more variety, but sometimes variety can be a bad thing. So let me know where you reside on that argument down below. Are you someone who would prefer to have a rifleman class, or do you like the idea of having an assassin that can use daggers, maybe a longsword and a rifle, and you can switch between them and kind of create your own playstyle? Though we don't know yet if you're going to be forced to swap back and forth, or if it'll be possible to play primarily with one specific weapon and then use the other weapon as a support or buffing effect that might be supplemental to the gameplay, but maybe you are able to play with just a single weapons type. We've also got confirmation that this game, even though it is a Korean developer and is an Eastern style game, will not be gender locked. This is something that we see in Korean games and Eastern games all the time, where the class is a specific kind of person, right? Like all the assassins are female and all the berserkers are male and all of that. We've got confirmation that it's not going to be gender locked. Even games like Lost Ark that started out gender locked and over time have started to add in alternate versions of classes to get the other gender in there, generally regret going with that decision because it kind of limits the expression for those characters and does prevent them from releasing new options for that class, especially if the class is super popular in the future. And by shifting through some of the internal testing reports and leaks, we know that Rangers will use magic arrows and won't have to be farming consumables all of the time or farming up ammunition all the time. We know that the Great Axe can be used as a defensive option for the Berserker, which you may not think that right away, but it does seem like they have some flexibility there. And while they have kept most of the game under wraps in this, it does seem like they're going to be at least some limited modes for PvP. They have confirmed that there will be kingdom versus kingdom PvE encounters and dungeons, and possibly even in those dungeons there might be PvE VP going on as well, where you fight other parties or other kingdoms while you're trying to conquer the dungeon space. Next, one of the core mechanics for Chrono Odyssey from the studio Chrono Games is going to be their ability to control time using the Chronotector, which is essentially a lore device inside the world of Chrono Odyssey that allows the players to control the passage of time. And this is essentially their unique selling point for the game to make it stand out against its peers, and will allow you to, as part of the story and as part of your combat, reverse time, slow down time, or even undo things that may have already happened. For example, the Chronotector will allow you to occasionally survive one-hit kill attacks. So maybe your character gets one-shot by a boss, or you didn't avoid a mechanic at the right time. You'll be able to use the Chronotector to reverse time and bring yourself back to life in that instant right before you were shot by the one-hit kill attack. You can also use the Chronotector to freeze enemies in place and give yourself a pseudo bullet time like you're playing some kind of arcade game, or even use that power to travel between the past, the present, and the future and change what's available to you. The game itself is going to be a seamless open world with no load screens. The size that they gave us is around 12 to 14 square kilometers for the world that you're running around in, which is pretty decently large. And using the Chronotector, you'll be able to swap the current time frame from past, present, and future, and this will allow you to move between layers. We've had a lot of conversations around layering and instancing and having different positions for you inside of the network layering for the world you're in, and this is something that over time has helped MMOs feel more performant, but also more isolated and less social. And possibly this time element will allow you to feel the world in more rich ways and feel like you're moving through an instance area for good reason, and actually gamify that process of being on a different layer than someone else, because maybe they're in the past or you're in the future and vice versa. They've also mentioned that you'll be able to go into the past to fight weaker monsters to level yourself up, or maybe find different rewards, or maybe you allow someone to live and then you go into the future and you meet them when they're stronger and it's a much bigger fight for you, and being able to switch between these will give different types of technology, different types of gear, and different types of rewards. Next, monetization is a big question, especially for any game that is based in an Eastern style development studio, especially in Korea. So the question is there going to be microtransactions, and will they be pay to win? And as of right now, there is question around that, because they have partnered with Kakao Games, which is known for a lot of games that monetize off of pay to win aspects and monetization systems that are highly aggressive in trying to go after your wallet. And while they are partnering with Kakao Games, the Chrono Games studio has mentioned that they are only doing this collaboration with them so as to extend the reach of their game to reach more areas. It's just a good fit for them because Kakao has a lot of reach and infrastructure that supports publishing their game. And so as of right now, they've mentioned that there will be no pay to win mechanics in the game, that it's all going to be focused on a premium purchase that you buy up front, and then there will be some kind of microtransactions that will be minimal. But again, this could turn its head at any moment depending on the publisher decision or where in the world you're living and what region you're servicing the game through. So as of right now, I'd say the game is definitely one to look out for if it actually comes out this year at the second half of 2024 and looks as good as it does now. I think it's definitely going to be a contender for one of the best MMOs that are upcoming here. But again, it is subject to pushbacks where the deadline can be moved and it gets pushed back and never actually comes out, or it comes out and all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of predatory monetization that prevents the game from feeling really good. But I think in general, the game looks sharp, it looks really crisp. I love the way it looks and feels and the way that the characters move and the combat looks. And when an action style MMO is done well, I think it can seriously be one of its own unique experiences. And personally, while I've put over maybe 1,500, 2,000 hours into a game like Black Desert Online, I would love a more traditional MMO that is less about just grinding small percentages of your level or combining weapons to get a better weapon. I'd love to have more group content and more traditional MMO style content in an action game like this one. But let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. Are you looking forward to Chrono Odyssey? Is this something you're ready for, or are you just kind of spent on these games being touted but still waiting for them to come out? If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.